Welcome to 21st Sports. Week 2 is underway, and we are talking the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Redskins. These two NFC East Division rivals went at it September 18, 2016. And anytime NFC East Division rivals play, it's always exciting. And this one was no exception, as the Cowboys get their first win of the season. Dak Prescott gets his first win under center, and Alfred Morris got his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy, the former Redskin. He was drafted by the Redskins. He had some good years there, but now he's a Cowboy, and he got into the end zone. That would be late in the game. Getting a little ahead of ourselves. That was in the fourth quarter. But let's start off in the first. The first points were put on the board by Dan Bailey. That made it 3-0 Dallas. And then Ezekiel Elliott, a 1-yard touchdown run to make it 10-0. So the Cowboys jumping out to the early lead, up by double digits after one. Then in the second quarter, just a couple minutes in, Matt Jones put the Redskins on the board with a 14-yard touchdown run that made it 10-7, cutting the Cowboys' lead to 3. But then Dan Bailey hit a 31-yard field goal to put another 3 points on the board for the Cowboys to make it 13-7. Then just before halftime, less than half a minute left before the intermission, Dustin Hopkins put it through the uprights with a 36-yard field goal, his first field goal of the game, to make it 13-3 as it was back to a 3-point game at the half. Then in the third quarter, Kirk Cousins hooked up with Jamison Crowder for an 11-yard touchdown. That gave the Redskins their first lead of the game, up by 4, with plenty of game left to play. Then with about 6 minutes still left in the third, Dak Prescott puts it in the end zone himself, 6-yard touchdown run to give the Cowboys back the lead, back up by 3 with the score 20-17. Dustin Hopkins then kicked his second field goal of the game, a 29-yarder, to tie the game at 20, and his time was running out in the third. He kicked his third field goal of the game, a 22-yarder, to to make it 23-20 as the Redskins were back in the lead for the second time this game. And it was a tight battle in the fourth, and then in the fourth quarter, Kirk Cousins makes his only mistake, his only interception of the game, as he floated it right to Barry Church. And now the Cowboys had the ball. They went 80 yards the other way on the drive, capped off by a 4-yard touchdown run by Alfred Morris. As I said earlier, his first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboy. That gave the Cowboys back the lead, and that would be the final score, 27-23, as the Cowboys would hold on to win this one. And the Redskins, they left some points on the board, as twice they got the ball inside the Cowboys' 40, but were only able to come away with field goals as they were struggling on the offensive side. Cousins was actually putting up some good numbers through the air. Of course, his interception that led to the game-winning touchdown will take most of the blame for the loss, although I do not believe that's justified. I think Kirk Cousins really is the reason why the Redskins were even in the game, but he wasn't getting a lot of support from the other players around him, and he needs to get better production out of that offensive line. They got to protect him a little better, and they've got to open up the holes in the running game, as the running game was not very productive. Of course, they really weren't running the ball that much. They only ran the ball 17 times, and they threw it 46 times. Of course, that's a recipe for failure. Whereas you look on the other side, it's much more balance on the offense, and Dak Prescott coming up big. He is looking really good under center for the Cowboys, and a lot of people were worried at the beginning of the year, without Romo, could they do it? Of course, Skip Bayless said they're still going to the Super Bowl even without Romo, and the way Prescott has been playing so far, Skip's looking like maybe he's a little bit smarter than people gave him credit for. A lot of people thought he was insane. But Dak Prescott, he's really coming through. 22 for 30. That is really incredible. A great performance by Prescott. He also had 292 yards, although he didn't have any touchdowns, but he didn't have any interceptions. And Zeke Elliott, he did have that fumble, but he had 21 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown. Not 100 yards, but he got in the end zone. He did have that fumble, but the 21 carries is a solid, output by the running back. That's the kind of thing they need, is to have a running back who can carry a load. And really, Alfred Morris, like to see him get the ball a little more. He only had 5 carries, 7 yards, and the 1 touchdown. And of course, Prescott, he didn't have a touchdown throwing, but he did have the touchdown rushing off of that 6-yard touchdown run. That was his only rush of the day. And then Dez Bryant, of course, Dez, one of the best receivers in the league, 7 receptions, 102 yards. Cole Beasley also 5 catches for 75 yards. And of course, Jason Witten, the future Hall of Fame tight end, 3 catches for 51 yards. Now on the other side, Kirk Cousins, 28 for 46. It's tough to win when you ask a quarterback to throw the ball that many times, but he had 364 yards for Kirk Cousins as he was putting up the numbers, but the 1 touchdown only, and then the 1 interception, especially at the worst time to throw it, is late in the game in the fourth quarter, and then it ends up going the other way. Not right on that play, but after the 80-yard drive leading to that game winner for the Cowboys. And so, like I said, a lot of people were going to blame Cousins, but I think that is not fair. I think that's unjust to blame Cousins. His Cousins is doing the job. He's getting it done. Yes, he did make that interception late in the game, but he needs more support around him. And he can't play both sides of the ball. The defense then let them go 80 yards, on that drive, capped off by the 4-yard touchdown by Morris. The defense, of course, they're put in a bad position after a turnover, but still, you got to have you win and lose as a team is what I'm saying, basically. But yeah, Matt Jones, 13 carries, 61 yards, just 1 touchdown. You got to get more production out of that ground game. Cousins had 2 carries for 20 yards. Thompson only 2 carries for 1 yard. And then the leading receiver for Washington was their tight end Jordan Reed, just 5 catches for 70 yards. Doxson had 1 catch for 57 yards. Thompson, the running back, 3 catches for 57 yards. Even Davis, 5 catches for 51 yards. Deshaun Jackson, just 3 catches for 40 yards. They got to get more production out of the receivers. Garcon, only 2 catches for 25 yards. Of course, part of that is on Cousins' shoulders as well. But Hopkins was perfect, 3 for 3 on the field goals, 2 for 2 on the extra points. Bailey, perfect as well, 2 for 2 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. Then on defense, Bruton with the sack, Murphy with 1.5 sacks, and then Juan Francois, Smith, and Kerrigan each had half sacks, all for the Cowboys, and a couple of forced fumbles, 1 for Norman, 1 for Murphy. And then on the Redskins side, actually that was for the Redskins, excuse me, my mistake. Church had an interception for the Cowboys, Crawford had a sack. Both Crawfords actually had sacks for the boys. Both teams had 24 first downs. On third down, the Cowboys 6 for 12, 50%. The Redskins 5 for 12, 41%. The Cowboys did convert a fourth down. They were 1 for 1. The Redskins 0 for 1. The Redskins had more total yards netted, 432 to 380. But on the ground, the Cowboys 102 netted to just 82 netted for the Redskins, although the Redskins actually averaged more yards per rushing play at 4.8 versus 3.4 for Dallas, but Dallas was more committed to the run as they ran the ball 30 times versus just 17 rushing plays for Washington. That's the thing is, I know it's a passing league, but you still gotta run the rock. If you don't run the rock, then you're gonna put yourself in some bad positions. You're not gonna be having the time of possession necessarily to give your defense some rest to get their win back. Also, you got to move the ball and make those short passing plays, go for first downs after a nice rushing play. So put yourself in a position where it's second and short, third and short, and then you have more versatility. You can throw it short, or you can run it again, or you get them for a nice big game through the air, you know? You gotta mix it up. You can't just friggin' be one-dimensional. And if all you do is pass 46 times, kind of one-dimensional there. Yeah, let's look at the penalties. 8 penalties against the Redskins, 51 yards. 6 penalties against the Cowboys, 39 yards. And then also the fumbles. Of course, 2 fumbles for the Cowboys. They lost 1, and they recovered 1. And in the red zone, 3 for 5 for the Cowboys, 60%. Just 2 for 6 for the Redskins, just 33% in the red zone. The Cowboys defense stepping up in the red zone, but also the Redskins' lack of a running game really hurting them when they get down into that red zone. They can't get it into the end zone. They're missing Alfred Morris. You can bet that. And then the time of possession, 32 minutes, 51 seconds for the boys, 27 minutes and 9 seconds for Washington. So the Cowboys coming up with the victory in this game. A very dramatic game. A very dramatic and exciting finish there. Lots of drama. It always is in the NFC East, and it always is when the Cowboys and the Redskins hook up. And this game was no exception to that. They said the Cowboys, though, they're looking good now at 1-1. And now 0-2, the Redskins, they're going to have an uphill climb if they want to try to repeat in the NFC East. As you've seen already today, the Giants are now 2-0. So it's going to be tough for the Redskins. And not only that, teams that start 0-2 only make the playoffs 12% of the time. So it's not looking good in D.C. for Washington. Of course, the Cowboys, though, they're right there in the mix of things. They continue to play the way that they're playing. They'll be challenging the Giants. And don't forget about those Eagles either. And I mean, we got plenty of games left, 14 games left to play, so it's wide open. And even though it's going to be an uphill climb for Washington, there still is a possibility, 12% something. So, I mean, it's, about 1 out of 10 teams that start 0-2 still make it. So it's not out of reach. It's just not going to be easy. It never is in the NFL and in that NFC East. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Which plays and performances stuck out to you? Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.